In the next 10 minutes, you are going to lie. Probably more than once. Not big lies. You won't even notice them. I'm fine. No, it looks great. Yeah, I totally remember you. Small, automatic social. The kind of lie that keeps a conversation from falling apart. Studies that recorded people in ordinary conversation found that most of us tell somewhere between 1 and 3 lies for every 10 minutes we spend talking to a stranger. You're not a bad person. You're just running the software every human runs. Now imagine that starting tomorrow morning, the software stops working. Not because you decide to be honest, because you can't do anything else. Every human being on Earth, all at once, completely loses the ability to say something they know is false. The word forms in your mind, your mouth opens, and only the truth comes out. Tonight, we're going to follow what happens next, hour by hour, as a world built quietly on millions of tiny lies meets the one morning it can't tell a single one. And by the end, you may not be sure which world you'd rather live in. Start with the scale of it, because most people badly underestimate how much lying holds their day together. In 1996, a psychologist named Bella DePaulo ran one of the first serious studies on everyday deception. She had ordinary people keep a diary for a week of every lie they told. Not crimes, not betrayals, just everything they knew wasn't true. The average came out to 1 to 2 lies per day. And these weren't villains. They were ordinary people who would call themselves basically honest. Then it got worse. In 2002, a researcher named Robert Feldman recorded strangers having a 10-minute conversation, then played the tape back and asked them to flag everything that wasn't strictly true. 60% lied at least once. The average liar told 3 lies in those 10 minutes, and many were stunned watching the footage. They hadn't experienced themselves as lying. They'd experienced themselves as being normal. Because here's the thing nobody likes to admit. Most lies aren't selfish. They're lubricant. I love it, thank you. No, you didn't wake me. We tell these to protect people's feelings, to keep things smooth, to avoid 1,000 tiny collisions a day. Researchers even have a name for them. Pro-social lies. Lies told for someone else's benefit. So picture the moment it stops. Not the big dramatic lies. Those are rare. Picture the 10,000 invisible ones. The ones holding every conversation, every workplace, every marriage, gently in place. All of them, gone. At the same time, tomorrow morning. Let's walk through it. Hour 1. People wake up. Morning, how are you? Good, you? Except now, nobody can say good unless they actually feel it. So the honest answers start landing. Exhausted, I don't want to be here. Strangers begin telling each other the truth, and it is not warm. It's mostly just uncomfortable. By mid-morning, the workplaces. Every job interview detonates. Why do you want this job? Can now only be answered honestly. And for most people, the honest answer is, I need the money. By lunch, something bigger cracks. Politics. Every politician on Earth wakes up unable to lie. Not just to the public, but at all. The careful dodge, the we're looking into it, that really means the opposite. None of it is available anymore. Press conferences become events people watch in disbelief. Then the evening, the relationships. This is where it gets quiet and serious. Because the kind lie is also the load-bearing one. I'm not upset, it's nothing. I'm happy for you. Millions of couples discover in a single night exactly what their partner actually thinks. Some get stronger, many do not survive the week. Here's the strange part. By the end of day 1, almost nobody is celebrating. A world that suddenly cannot lie is not a world that suddenly trusts each other more. It's a world where everyone can finally see how much the lies we're doing. To understand what we'd really be losing, you have to go back to the moment a human being first learns to do it. In 2013, a developmental psychologist at the University of Toronto named Kang Lee ran a now famous series of experiments on small children. The setup. A child is told not to peek at a toy while the researcher leaves the room. A hidden camera watches. Almost every child peeks. Then the researcher comes back and asks, "Did you look?" What Lee found is one of the most counterintuitive results in child psychology. The 2-year-olds mostly told the truth. By age 3, about half had started to lie. By age 4, the large majority lied. And the children who lied earlier and lied better were the ones who scored higher on tests of intelligence and social skill. Lying, it turns out, is not a moral failure that children fall into. It's a cognitive milestone they climb up to. Because to tell a lie, a real one, you have to do something extraordinary. You have to hold 2 things in your mind at once: what is true and what another person believes. You have to model the inside of someone else's head, realize it's different from reality, and then deliberately steer it. Psychologists call this theory of mind. It's one of the things that most separates us from nearly every other animal. So here's the unsettling implication. The same machinery that lets you lie is the machinery that lets you imagine what someone else is feeling, to write fiction, to plan for a future that doesn't exist yet, to say, imagine if, which is the entire engine of this channel and of every story ever told. A world that cannot lie isn't just a world without deception. It might be a world that has quietly lost the ability to imagine things that aren't true. And almost everything we've ever built started as something that wasn't true yet. Now push it all the way out. Because the deepest layer isn't personal lies at all. It's the lies we've all agreed to believe together. Think about the banknote in your wallet. Physically, it's a scrap of cotton and ink worth almost nothing. It has value for one reason. Everyone agrees to pretend it does. The historian Yuval Noah Harari put it simply. Money is the most successful story ever told. It works because we all tell it at the same time. Now ask what happens to a shared story when no human can affirm something they privately doubt. Money runs on confidence, the collective, slightly fictional belief that the number in your account means something. The stock market is largely a machine for telling each other an agreed-upon story about the future. Borders, corporations, the idea that a flag is more than colored cloth. These aren't cruel lies, just shared fictions we've decided to treat as real. And a huge amount of civilization is built on top of them. Then there's the machinery we've built to catch liars. And what's strange is how badly it works. The polygraph is so unreliable that in 2003, the U.S. National Academy of Sciences reviewed the evidence and concluded it couldn't be trusted for security screening. And humans are worse. A review of over 200 studies found that people can tell a lie from the truth about 54% of the time. 54%. A coin flip is 50. After hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, we are almost completely unable to detect lies. Which raises a disturbing question. If lying were really so destructive to a species, why didn't evolution make us better at catching it? Maybe because the lies were never only the problem. Maybe, somewhere along the way, they became part of the structure holding us up. But there's one lie left. The one we'd missed the most, and it isn't told to anyone else. In 1988, two psychologists, Shelley Taylor and Jonathan Brown, published a paper that overturned an old assumption. For decades, mental health had been defined as seeing reality clearly. They looked at the data and found the opposite. Healthy, happy people consistently see themselves through a soft, flattering filter. They rate themselves as better than average at driving, at their jobs, at rates that cannot all be true. They remember their wins more vividly than their failures. They believe they have more control over their lives than they really do. They called these positive illusions, small, persistent, self-told lies. And here's the part that stops you cold. The people who saw themselves most accurately, closest to reality, were disproportionately the ones who were mildly depressed. There's even a name for it now, depressive realism. So in our world without lies, the last wall falls inward. Not only can you no longer tell others you're fine, you can no longer tell yourself. The gentle story you wake up with every morning, that things will probably be okay, that tomorrow is worth getting up for, requires saying something to yourself the evidence doesn't fully support. And on the morning the lying stops, that voice goes quiet too. You would, for the first time, see yourself exactly as you are, with nothing softening the edges. Almost nobody has ever survived a full look at that. So here's where it leaves us. We tend to imagine a world without lies as a paradise. Clean, honest, free of the manipulation and the fakeness we're so tired of. And the cruelty, the fraud, the betrayal. Yes, all of that would go. That part would be a mercy. But that's not all that would go. The kindness that softens a hard truth. The shared fictions that let strangers trust each other and build something bigger than themselves. The imagination that lets you picture a life that doesn't exist yet and walk toward it. And the quiet, daily mercy of telling yourself it's going to be all right. It turns out the line between a lie and the things that make us human is much thinner than we like to believe. We didn't build a world on honesty. We built it on a fragile agreement about which lies we tell, and when, and why. And maybe the most honest thing anyone can admit is how much we depend on not always telling the truth. Subscribe if the kind of question that unsettles you is also the kind you can't stop thinking about. See you out there.